I'm Dave Palumbo, founder of Species Nutrition. From my earliest bodybuilding days, I believed in only putting the best in my body. And that lives on in the Species Nutrition line of products. I put my name and reputation on every bottle of Species Nutrition products. If you want to be your absolute best, join the evolution.
After working hard at the gym, you need a mattress that works as hard as you do. Spinalign has engineered the perfect mattress for you and your active lifestyle. Don't compromise your recovery with inferior sleep. Order your Spinalign mattress today.
Hey guys, we're super excited to be here at the LA Fit Expo. It's our third year in a row. And what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be launching the Tasty Pastry. It's a low-carb Pop-Tart. It's got 3 to 4 grams of net carbs. And we love this show. This is our best place to be in LA.
RX Television on RxMuscle.com. This is Ask Dave, better known as hashtag Ask Dave, your 30-minute question and answer show with Dave Palumbo. All your questions, diet, training, supplementation, IFBB pros, news, anything and everything in and outside of the bodybuilding world. It is all on the table. I'm your host, Sadiq Faruqi, as we now bring in Dave Palumbo. Full disclosure, you're watching this episode today. Today is the day. Dave's been very open and transparent about it. It is a day that he is getting surgery to remove his cancer, his thyroid cancer. So we're pre-recording this today. But before Dave set off to get his surgery done, we had a very special visitor in studio to make a very special pre-surgery delivery.
Yeah, it's Scott from Old School Bodybuilding Clothing, who lives locally. What's up, my friend?
Good to see you, buddy. Brought you some new hats.
Great new styles. If you guys want to check out at oldschoolbodybuildingclothing.com.
You guys do so well wearing our stuff for us. Sid's got a shirt on today. Thank you, Sid.
There you go.
I like the shirt a lot, actually. This is one of my favorites here. I told him it looks like like a cross between an Old Spice shirt and a Coke bottle. You know.
Well, we can tell what my favorite diet soda is. Coke Zero.
There you go. This is a great design too, by the way. I really like this one.
Yeah, that one's really sweet.
Yeah.
We got a box coming up your way too, buddy.
And for those of you who like white shirts, I'm not a white shirt guy anymore. When I was big, I used to wear white shirts. Now I'm a slob. Now I'm like, as you get older, you got to be a slob. I'll have like red. My kids will be wiping their noses all over my shirt. You'll see like snot stains across here, so I got to wear black. But thank you so much.
Brought you a baseball jersey.
Yeah, you know what? This is. Said Valentino's gonna love this one. We got to send him one to him because he loves these.
Greg will send it out.
Yeah. Great looking shirt.
Perfect.
I might wear this to the hospital tomorrow. So it looks so cool.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, good luck with
It'll
that.
cover my neck.
Well, yeah.
It'll cover my neck.
This one, this is a logo that we came up with that we haven't released yet. This is brand new. Just going to give it to an RxMuscle exclusive. So Sid's going to get some. And
exclusive.
And
we love exclusivity
you guys
here.
can wear them for the next month, and then we'll launch it after that.
All right. Very good. Thank you, Scott, for stopping by. I appreciate it, man.
Tomorrow.
I appreciate that.
Thanks.
All right,
Take care, Sid.
love getting swag
thanks,
over
Scott.
here at the RxMuscle studio. So, all right, we'll put this
Look at that,
aside.
Scott dropping off some sweet old school bodybuilding swag.
Cool stuff.
As a company, I mean, they've been all over the place. They've been doing all the right things. Obviously, we've been partnered up with them for the better part of the last year or so. They were our co-sponsor for our Olympia coverage, and they've really made some waves around the bodybuilding scene. Really one of the true hardcore clothing lines out there. So check them out, Old School Bodybuilding. They're all over social media. oldschoolbc.com is their website.
The thing I wanted to say about it is that, back in the 90s, we all wore the Team Michael, Body Alive. For people who don't know all these logos, these were like bodybuilding company clothing were big back then. And they disappeared. And I don't know why, because the styles were cool. I'm not talking about the shirt styles, because the shirt styles now are contemporary. The designs are old school. And, obviously he's playing on that whole genre. But the bottom line is, if I'm a bodybuilder, I'm working out, I want to have a bodybuilder on my t-shirt. And so these things are iconic almost. It's like almost as iconic as the Gold's Gym logo and the World Gym logo. So I think it's a great idea that he brought it back. I like the fact that he's always freshening them up and making new designs. And the shirts are they're the kind I like, the very thin, material, comfortable. You don't even have to wash them. The first time you wear them, they're that comfortable. So definitely check them out over there because they're doing good work.
Let's get to the questions. Of course, the first two questions from the Dave Palumbo Experience app. First question, Dave, your thoughts on ultrasonic liposuction?
I've had this discussion with my my plastic surgeon friend, Dr. Blau, and I asked him about it. I said, I've seen it. It's non-invasive. He said the problem is it's very hard. As he's a sculptor and artist by nature, and any good plastic surgeon probably is. And he said it's very hard to mold what you want to remove using this technique. Whereas if you go in with an actual suction wand, you can suction and contour things the way you want it to look so that it looks perfect, So it's kind of a crapshoot. Yeah, it's not invasive, but at the same time, you don't really know how much they're going to get and how much of that fat will permanently be gone. So I think what happens is people go for that first is because it seems easier. It's not that it's expensive, and then they wind up having to go back and get the real one done anyway because they want it done right. So if you're going to make the leap and do the liposuction thing, I always tell people try to lose as much body fat at first yourself, and then if there's a stubborn area you want to get it sucked out, that's fine. If you're going to do the suck, if you're going to get liposuction, whether you might as well just get the real liposuction where they stick the wand in there and they actually take out what they see, because it's like going in to get gynecomastia surgery and having them not cut the whole gland out because they're doing it blindly. You're going to have a nervous breakdown as a bodybuilder. You're going to feel it. Oh no, there's still something in there, and you're going to have to go back. Just get it done the right way the first time.
Second question again from the Dave Palumbo Experience app. Higher body fat. I need to get lean for the summer. I don't follow a diet currently. Where do I start?
Well, start with going on a diet. The best place to start, obviously, is go to the gym, start weight training. When people come to me and say, I don't do anything, I always say, this is what you do. Go to the gym 3 days a week and just weight train. Break your body into 3 body parts and do one body part one day, one body part the other day, one body part the other day, so that it's not intimidating. You spend no more than an hour in the gym. So it's a 3-hour commitment right there. And then, in addition to that, cut out all the junk food that you're eating and start regimenting your eating schedule. So in other words, 5 to 6, for most people, 5 meals might be fine if you're just getting into it. Your 3 normal meals you have in terms of, but you're going to keep them lower carb, higher protein, obviously. And then the other 2 meals that you normally wouldn't eat, okay, which are usually probably junk food snacks, you're going to have protein shakes. Whey isolate with, if you want to use all natural peanut butter or almond butter or however you want to combine it up. You do your 3 meals, your 2 shakes, which is really not that different than what you're doing. You're just regimenting your eating schedule, you're regimenting going to the gym, and then if you want, once you get that pattern down, Pat, then if you want to start adding some cardio in, maybe 20 minutes after you do your weight training session at the gym, and maybe a couple other days of the week where you're not going in, go for a walk outside, now that the weather's getting nice for most people. And I think that's the way to get into it. Once you get into it and you start losing weight and see how your body's changing, then you're going to be super motivated, then you'll go all out. But if you try to overwhelm yourself too much right off the bat, it's going to be like the process is so overwhelming to you that you don't even want to be bothered with it. It's just too much. So you ease yourself into it. And then you get sucked into the whole, oh my God, I'm seeing results in the mirror. Once you see results, that's the motivation that keeps you staying on the diet and the training regimen and all the other things that go along with it, taking your nutritional supplements obviously as well.
Let's go to our Instagram questions. Again, if you're not already following us, our handle is official_RxMuscle. If you're watching us for the first time on YouTube, hit the subscribe button below, hit the notification bell. You're not going to miss any of our shows, upload segments, whatever we have coming up on RxMuscle.com. As we mentioned, this show was pre-recorded yesterday. Today, Dave is, in fact, getting his surgery. That will be recorded as well. Dave, again, mentioned that he wanted to be full transparency about the whole process. So that, too, will be on our YouTube channel. So, again, hit the subscribe button below. Hit the notification bell if you like what you're watching. Hit the like button, comment below. Obviously, that helps. And as always, we thank you all for your support. Let's go to Eken Ojoda. Best exercise, I guess I'll elaborate on that in your experience. Best way to build an upper chest.
I had a lot of trouble with my upper chest, I'm going to be honest with you. First, it was because I had a shoulder issues. I had an impingement in my left shoulder that I had to have cleaned out. But even then, after that, my pecs were responding, but I didn't have a lot of upper pec. And it was really because I wasn't using good form. The incline bench I was using was too inclined. Okay, I had to take it down to more of a 30-degree angle as opposed to a 45-degree angle. Because 45 is too steep, you wind up using too much front delt. I wasn't keeping my elbows out to the side. I wasn't keeping my chest up when I was pressing. And what I would do is as soon as I would get my pecs would fatigue, I would roll my shoulders forward and I was using my front delts, which wasn't allowing my pecs to get maximum stimulation. So I realized I had to lighten the weight, retrain myself how to use proper form. And it helped having a training partner there who knew what he was doing and taught me the correct form. And then stopping the set when I couldn't use my pecs anymore. So rather than cheat to get more weight or more reps up, I would stop the set when my pecs. So what happened is I started getting used to only using my upper pecs during that movement. And this way, as soon as the pecs failed, the exercise was over for me. And that was important because that was building strength in my pecs. And what happened ultimately is that my pecs got stronger than my front delts, and then, which they should be. And then I actually was able to start moving. Another thing is instead of having a very wide hand stance, or hand position, I should say, bring it in a little bit. You're not going to bring it in close where you're doing close benches, but you're going to bring it into about shoulder width, maybe a little bit more, and you'll find that you're going to feel it more in those upper inner pecs, okay? Because if you're too wide, you're going to feel it more out here, and it's a very vulnerable position to you. You tend to constrain something a little bit more easily. Bring it in a little closer. Now you're hitting upper inner pecs, and that's really where most people are weak. And it took 6 months to a year before I started to really see the results of it. But I knew every workout I was doing, I was getting stronger. I felt it in my pecs more. My mind muscle connection with the pectoralis muscle, the upper pectoralis muscle, was completely different than it was prior to that. And I realized it was poor form. I wasn't doing full range of motion. I wasn't lowering the weight under control. I was too worried about just pushing up the weight, and that's not how you build pecs. Okay? If you can't feel it in the muscle, you're not developing the muscle. That's the bottom line.
A lot of good ones here. Let's go to CX Risso. Almost everyone in the industry today, when asked, say, how they got into bodybuilding, seen pictures of Arnold Schwarzenegger growing up and in the movies. In another 10 to 20 years, how do you think people will be answering that same question? So I guess who would be that next, quote unquote, right. Arnold?
Well, I think The Rock is kind of in that space right now in terms of, Arnold is not, you're not watching Arnold movies to see, him take a shirt off anymore. You're watching Arnold movies because he's like kind of like the John Wayne. He's got like an iconic, an iconic image now. We remember the way he looked back in the day, but we still remember him as as the tough guy, the Terminator. So I think as far as physiques go, I think The Rock has kind of jumped into that role. I mean, you're seeing him jacked out of his mind in all these Fast and Furious movies. And he's going to be around for, another 15 years doing this type of physique type, movie where his physique is speaking for a lot of what he's doing. We're seeing him as an action hero, kind of the way we saw even like a Jean-Claude Van Damme, although Jean-Claude Van Damme wasn't as big. And with the way we saw Stallone, who wasn't as big as Arnold, but he also was very muscular. I don't really see too many other people in that space right now, although I'm sure I wouldn't be surprised if we saw some new guys jump into that space that I just think that it goes in waves too. I think we're in a kind of like an in-between where we're seeing the skinnier guys be augmented by TGI. If you think of the Avenger movies, okay? The Hulk, that's not really what the actor Mark Ruffalo looks like. Obviously, they're jacking. So all the superheroes are enhanced, so to speak. I don't know if Henry Cavill looks pretty damn good as Superman without a shirt. You can tell the guy works out, but I don't not necessarily know if he wants to be known as like that jacked bodybuilderish look because he plays other roles like The Witcher and other cool, offbeat roles as well. But I think like today's action hero is CGI enhanced, really is what it amounts to. We don't really have too many people other than The Rock who are in that Arnold, genre. So it will be interesting to see if someone that comes out of the woodwork, someone who's like a very popular guy who has a good physique or builds a big physique and makes it in the movies. I would not doubt it, because I think there'll be a gap there, and I think when Arnold is not around anymore, and maybe The Rock isn't really doing those type of roles anymore, someone else will fill that space for sure. They'd be crazy not to, because it's definitely necessary. We love our action heroes, and we love to see the roles with jack looking biceps and pecs and stuff like that. It's just part of what we like to watch in the movies.
Let's go to Kyle Denny Sheen. Dave, is low intensity steady state cardio all right to do after a really intense leg workout? Could this be detrimental or perhaps aid in recovery?
I always was wary of doing cardio after leg day, especially when I was dieting for shows. Obviously I didn't do any cardio in the off season, but what I found was that sometimes doing a very, no tension on the legs, pedal on a bike or just walking on a treadmill, sometimes after a brutal leg workout, actually helped pump and get some of that lactic acid out of the muscle and actually bring fresh blood in there. So I found that the lower intensity cardio type of stuff that I did anyway, that I recommend, steady state, works fine as long as you're not putting a severe strain. Some people get on that bike and they put a lot of tension on the bike, so it's hard to pedal. For those of you who don't know, I got into cycling outside. And those, the guys that are really the hardcore cyclists, they don't cycle under tension. In other words, your legs are not burning. They're cycling almost like it's free. The wheels are just spinning, because that's the key. It's spinning. Get your heart rate up without tension on your legs, because if you put too much tension on your legs, you build up lactic acid. You're not going to be able to ride for 20 miles, 30 miles, 40 miles, 50 miles. You'll be dead after 20 minutes. So that's what you have to think of when you're doing your cardio. You're bringing your heart rate up a little bit, but really it's a steady state cardio with no tension on the legs, so you don't break down more muscle tissue, because we're just trying to burn stored body fat. So yeah, you can do that after a leg workout, like I said, as long as it's lower intensity, lower impact. I wouldn't get on the Stairmaster or the stepper and start pounding away on the steps after you just squatted 600 pounds. That's not smart.
Let's go to Marco Antonio Miranda Pena. Dave, does injectable carnitine make us build more androgenic receptors?
I don't believe so. I mean, I'm sure that there's probably a research study somewhere that might say that. But, injectable L-carnitine is really the transporter, and I'm sure it does other things. We know it does other things in the cells too, but it's a transporter of long-chain fats, okay, from the cytoplasm, which is inside the muscle cell, into the mitochondria of the cell, which is the little organelle where fatty acid oxidation or fat burning occurs. So it helps transport these long-chain fats into the mitochondria. Obviously, if you don't have enough of it and you supplement with it, it's going to help with fat burning. I don't really know how much else it's going to help with. I know it can help with sometimes with cardiac function as well. And that's also because I think it's the transport of fuel into the place where the fuel is being burned for energy that's helpful. Like I said, there might be studies out there that I haven't seen, but just to even talk about that, I know there's a lot of guys that are really good researchers online. They have a lot of time on their hands, like I did when I first started, and they scour the PubMed and all the different journal articles out there looking for the latest little nuance, research about this peptide or that peptide or this neurochemical, and this does this and this does that. And you know what? In these laboratory studies and in these controlled environments, a lot of times they can show that this chemical will influence this chemical, and the problem is that there's not a lot of real world application. When you real world apply it, a lot of times it doesn't have any relevance. And even though theoretically, when you're looking at from a scientific standpoint, it all makes sense and connects, it doesn't translate into any major differences in physique development or, fat burning per se. And I see it all the time. People say, what do you think about this peptide? It does this and this and this and this. And yet, theoretically, that's what it does in the body. But when you inject it into yourself, it doesn't yield those results. Because the human organism, okay, as a whole, doesn't respond in the way it does in these test tubes or in these 3-day studies they do where they blast you with it or they subject mice, myocytes to it. There's not a lot of real world application. We know anabolic steroids build muscle. We know that growth hormone mobilizes fat and helps, produce IGF-1, which then, can take stem cells and turn them into myofibers. We know that that's true. We know that insulin drives nutrients into muscle cells These are confirmed and type of phenomena that bodybuilders have tested for years and know work. Some of the peptides work, but some of the peptides don't really, and some of these other like injectable substances don't necessarily perform like the research suggests they do. So you have to take that with a grain of salt because you can drive yourself crazy. There's a lot of stuff that you can take. I see some guys, they have like 40 things they show me that they're on, and probably 39 of them are not doing anything, but they don't realize it. Because on paper, theoretically, they should do this and they should do that and they should do that, but in real world application, they just don't.
Let's go to Rennie 511. A topic that you're obviously very particular about in this alkalization. Please explain how alkalizing helps building muscle and or fat loss.
Well, I don't think it directly affects that. First of all, obviously having a good alkaline environment in your body, which is really saying your body is naturally wants to be alkaline. So if it really is, it's reducing the acidity in your body. So when I say when you want to alkalinize your body, I'm saying helping your body to reduce acidity. Now, if you eat a lot of protein, okay, and that your body has to break that down, that creates an acid load in the body. And a lot of times the body will use, calcium from your bones to neutralize the acidity, almost like a Tums would, neutralize an acid stomach. We want to help your body to reduce acidity because your body will do whatever it has to reduce acidity. You're never going to have a situation in your bloodstream where you're actually, have a high acid load unless you're, a non-diagnosed diabetic who has a crazy, glucose level in the bloodstream because you don't know that you're a diabetic yet. But except for that situation, your body will always find a way to neutralize most acidity. The problem is it's where it's dumping all this acid, whether it be into the stomach or through the skin, and then you get skin eruptions and bad skin, situations like acne and psoriasis and eczema, or it's just storing it in your fat cells, all this acidity. We don't want that, okay? Because when your body is not in a good state of detoxification and it's constantly looking for places to dump acid, okay, the first priority of your body is not to build muscle and it's not to burn fat. It's to somehow get rid of this acid and get the body working properly. So by giving the body tools, okay, to reduce acidity in the body, okay, and help with the acid load of all the protein we're eating and the lactic acid we're producing and the acidity we're producing from being stressed out on a regular basis or being anxious, by reducing that load on your body, now your body is free to do other stuff, which I call luxury item stuff, build muscle, burn fat, which is not a priority, but it becomes something that your body can do and prioritize when it doesn't have to worry about these other things. So it's great to take a calcium magnesium supplement to help your body have that extra calcium on board to neutralize acidity. It's important to eat, some kind of a green product or to take your Bragg's apple cider vinegar, to help reduce the acidity in the body by increasing alkalinity. Drinking alkalized water between meals, not obviously when you're eating protein meals because your body's going to be cranking out acidity in the stomach. Anything you can do that's going to help in this process, okay? Whether it is doing baking soda first thing in the morning, a teaspoon and some water, which I've been doing just to super alkalize. It's only going to alkalinize your body for about 3-4 hours because your kidneys will pump out that bicarbonate enzyme, the bicarbonate ions. But the bottom line is that if you're giving your body an ability to help combat the acidity and increase alkalinity at a much easier, rate, then your body's going to prioritize building muscle and repair, and that's how it does it. So, alkalinizing your body directly doesn't build muscle; it indirectly builds it by allowing your body to not have to worry about the acid load, and then it can prioritize the fat loss and the muscle building. If that makes sense, I hope.
Let's go to Alex Williamson. What are some ways to increase feed efficiency? I feel as if I'm not absorbing all my meals properly. Yeah.
Well, the first thing I usually tell people is when you feel that way, start testing your blood sugar. Go out and buy a blood sugar monitor at like Walmart. They're like $9. $9 for the strips. The brand I always tell people to buy is Rely On. Rely On has their own. That's like the Walmart brand. They work fine. Test your blood sugar in the morning. If it's under 90, you're good. Test your blood sugar 2 hours after your biggest 3 meals of the day. If it's under 130, even under 125, you're good. That means your blood sugar control is good. But if you're running high blood sugars, it means you might not be absorbing all the food that you're eating because you're running high blood sugar, meaning that you're not absorbing the sugar out of the blood properly. that could be an issue. Sometimes eating too clean also can be a problem. I noticed that back in my career when I would stick to very, very clean eating, it felt like the food was just going right through me. It's almost like your metabolism was just taking off, on you, and it just wasn't holding. And so I found that by eating denser foods, my preference was McDonald's back in the day. I felt like I grew better. I also, I was thinking about this the other day about why McDonald's seemed to work so well on me. And I really believe it's because it has a super high amount of arachidonic acid, which is like a pro-inflammatory essential fatty acid. For most people, they get plenty of arachidonic acid, but if you're a bodybuilder and you weigh, 300 pounds and your arachidonic acid requirements are going to be way, way higher. And Bill Llewellyn pointed this out, and that's where his X Factor, product comes, which is an arachidonic acid supplement. I actually sell it at DavePalumbo.com. For people who are big, really big, and train really hard, and maybe eat almost too clean, taking an arachidonic acid supplement could be a help. Okay, because when I would eat this, these burgers, okay, I felt like I got bigger quick. I didn't feel like it. I noticed it on a scale. I saw the results of it. I did grow better on it, and it might have been because I was eating a lot of fish and egg whites and everything was so clean that I was eating that even like my cheat meals would be sushi. So I wasn't really eating a ton of red meat and anything that was really high in arachidonic acid. So I think, for me, I needed like a source of it, and I think that the McDonald's might have been what actually was the magic that was happening in there, because I just wasn't a big, junky eater. I wasn't a fatty, red meat eater. People who eat red meat tend to grow better, especially in an off-season scenario. It's harder to lose weight when you're eating red meat because red meat doesn't have a lot of omega-3 fats in it, and the omega-3 fats help sensitize insulin receptors. That's why fish diets tend to work better in terms of weight loss. But at the same time, you need your arachidonic acid because that's the pro-inflammatory fatty acid that turns into a prostaglandin, which is a signaler to tell the body repair muscle, build muscle. So it's all about balance. Whenever you throw your body out of balance, something doesn't work. So check your blood sugars. Think about what your diet is. If there's not a lot of red meat in there, you might want to incorporate some more, ground beef and ground buffalo. And don't do the grass-fed form. The grass-fed is actually anti-inflammatory. So try some of the regular. Sometimes you just need a higher load, especially when you're trying to grow.
Let's go. We'll take a couple of more questions. Let's go to aesthetics and nutrition. How long does it truly take to completely restore metabolic downregulation from super strict contest prep? Some people like Layne Norton say months. Others have shown research showing 3 to 6 weeks. Your thoughts?
I always say that I tend to agree with Layne Norton on that, but a couple months. But I think that with a lot of people, it depends on how hard they've dieted. So if you really have been restricted for a long time because maybe you needed to lose 80 pounds, and I know you're laughing, but believe me, I work with a lot of people that, the first 15 is water. But so they're losing a lot of weight, and they're doing it over a long period of time because they have to lose a lot of weight. And sometimes their metabolism doesn't bounce back quite as quickly. There's a lot of genetic variability in that because, if you take someone like myself who has a fast metabolism and after a show you start hyper feeding them a lot of food, my metabolism just would go through the freaking roof and I would just burn everything up. I know other people, you start feeding them like that and they turn into fat slobs. So, and we could do the same foods, we could be the same body weight. My metabolism is different, and that's why you could give, clenbuterol, which is probably one of the better fat burners out there right on the market, at least the great market ones. You can give clenbuterol to person A and clenbuterol to person B, and you get a different influence. You can give Cytomel or T3, thyroid hormone, to one person, and thyroid, same dosage to another person, completely different outcome. Why? Because all these hormones and or fat burners do is increase the potential to burn fat. Now it's like basically giving your muscle cells a kick in the butt. All right, now it's up to you guys to do what you want to do. Well, my muscle cells, my mitochondria love to burn fat. They love to oxidize fat. So when you kick them in the butt and turn them on, they go to work and they just burn as much fat as they can. Another person, you kick their cells in the butt, and their mitochondria don't like to burn much fat, and so they don't really see as much of a result as I would from doing the same dose of Clen, even though they may be the same body fat as me they might be the same, body weight as me, and they might actually eat the same foods. So you have to understand there's a genetic component also there, and that's what you have to figure out. That's why some people might take 3 months to 6 months to bounce back metabolically. Other people, in a couple of weeks, they're doing fine. I find it used to take me 4 to 6 weeks to feel normal again. But I didn't get fat, but I just didn't feel right. Like I knew my metabolism was like a little off.
A couple of classic physique related questions to close this one out. One from Jack Slammer Fitness. Brad Castleberry expressed interest in wanting to attempt to qualify for the Classic Physique Mr. Olympia. Do you think he can qualify? If he qualified, how do you think he'd do? Is he someone you would want to coach? And then the second one from One Tall Cup of Joe. Now, I don't know if this is necessarily if there's someone out there that you can identify as a potential or if there's just nobody's out there. But he wants to know, in your opinion, who is next in line to beat Chris Bumstead?
Well, to address it, let's do the Brad Castleberry thing. I think that Brad could definitely make it to the Olympia if he put his mind to it. I think he's got the genetic tool set. I think he's got the hard work ethic, and I think with the right game plan, he can do it if that's what he wants to do. He's achieved a lot of good stuff online already, just social media wise. So I think he can do it. I think he has the tool set. I would help him if he wanted me to help him. Absolutely. I think I think that. Once again, when I see someone with a strong work ethic to do anything, and whether it be achieving it in business, social media, competition, it's the same application. It's just getting the right game plan and applying it relentlessly with no chance of failure. And those are the people that get the best results. Now, going back to the Bumstead question, Chris is going to be in there as long as his health holds up and everything like that. And it seems like because of COVID, he's like so sequestered that he's in a good place. Emotionally, he's in a good place, physically, and he knows what he's got to do now to win, and he's been making improvements the last couple of years. I think he's going to be very, very tough to unseat because he's young still. Youth is important because you don't really get injuries until you get a little older. So he's so right in that stage where he's kind of like at the bulletproof stage where he's good. As long as he takes care of himself and rests enough and eats right and doesn't overtrain, he's going to go for a long time, and he's still got tremendous potential, and he can still grow into the class. That's the funny thing. He's not even at the limit yet. So he's going to be very tough to beat because he's got this structure that is and that's always been the history of Mr. and Miss Olympia. It's how do you beat the structure? How do you beat the Lee Haney structure or the Corey Everson structure back in the day? It's really hard, to overcome that. It's like they almost have to beat themselves. Or something happened, they get a little older, maybe their body isn't responding as well, they have an injury. That's how you beat these people. So Chris is in there for quite a while. I don't know if anyone out there right now is going to be good enough to knock him off unless he somehow knocks himself off. So for the foreseeable future, for the next 3 to 5 years, I think Chris is going to be the man.
Hey, before we wrap up, obviously, again, today is the big day for you. We've been getting messages all throughout the course of the week of encouragement and support. If you want to give a shout out to those of you, to the fans, to RxMuscle community, those who have been sending positive, encouraging messages to you.
Yeah, you want to hear something funny? I was doing after hours. We were filming after hours today, and Valentino had told me, tomorrow, which is March 17th, the day of my surgery, because we're filming this a day early, is Valentino's 1 year anniversary of him getting his thyroid cancer in his neck removed, ironically enough. How weird is that? Same date, March 17th, 1 year apart. Same area. So, I don't know. Is it a meaningful coincidence? I don't know. I hope it is. Hopefully the luck of the Irish will bless him, and that blessed him will bless me as well, and we'll get through it. And I appreciate all the well wishes out there, and I'm sorry. Sometimes probably over the next, I know a lot of guys are going to text me and email me and PM me and all that stuff and well wishes. I always try to say thank you to everyone, but if I might be a little out of commission. I think in my mind I'm going to be doing emails after I get out of surgery, which I probably will. But I try to tell everyone, you know what, the guys that are competing in the next 14 days, I have them sending me updates. But aside from everyone else is kind of pushed to either Saturday or Monday. as far as my coaching clients go, to give me a couple days extra just to kind of like just relax and not really get too stressed out about answering emails and staying up late. Because the key with me is I got to get some sleep. If I sleep, I heal well, and I don't really sleep that much because I stay up a lot of times answering emails and doing videos and stuff like that. So I'm going to lay low on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Hopefully by Sunday I should be back to. Hopefully be able to do the radio show on Sunday night, and then Monday hopefully I'll be back to work. That's my plan at least. But the big guy up there might have a different plan for me. I don't know. Hopefully everything will go well. I'm good. Well, Tyler is driving me down there tomorrow to Hollywood, which is about a 2.5-hour ride. So we'll do a little, preview video before I go into surgery. When I come out, I'll let him interview me and ask me questions. I might not have enough mindset to give the right information. And then we'll put that up. So at least by Wednesday night, you guys, or maybe early Thursday morning, you guys will at least have an update as to what went on and how I did. And I appreciate everyone following us and on social media and on YouTube. And once again, expressing a lot of love for me, and that means a lot. That love is allows me to heal quicker. It keeps me in good spirits mentally. A lot of people say, "Oh, how are you staying so positive?" It's because of all the support I get and all the great things people. I got my friend Charlie Arms left a great message. I talked to Dr. Blau, who's kind of like since my dad's been gone, he's like my second dad. And so I've got a lot of well wishes from people that are important to me. Of course, Sid Yu and all the RxMuscle family have expressed themselves. We had a nice little Mr. G said a prayer for me on after hours. So I got a lot of good juju in my corner, and that's what it takes sometimes to get through these tough times, because we all face tough obstacles in life. It's how you approach it, how you see it mentally, and then how you overcome it. And once again, I always say that defines your character, because there's always going to be bumps in the road. It's how you approach it and how you view it. You can view it as a negative thing, or you can view it as something I just have to get past. It's a necessary thing I had to get through. I don't know what the deeper meaning of it is, why it happened now, but you know what? It was important for me to go through this, and it's made me a better person and created, as my father would say, depth to my character. And that's how I am imparting meaning on what's going on tomorrow. Once again, thank you all for all your well wishes.
Well, I speak on behalf of the entire team here at RxMuscle and, of course, RxMuscle community. We wish you all the best. We know you're going to pass this test with flying colors. And I think I can speak for a lot of those who have messaged us when I say, make sure you get your rest afterwards. It's so funny. We have clients messaging us like, yeah, Dave's going to be probably sending me updates or whatever like that, from his hospital bed. I'm like, then we're going to let him relax a little bit. But that, again, hopefully everything goes well, and we'll be back on schedule in no short time. That's going to do for this episode of Ask Dave. Special thanks, Tyler Shore, Dave Palumbo. I'm Sadiq Faruqi. We'll see you next time.